Hi, my name's Mark Roberts. I'm a world evacuation expert and also the CEO of evac+chair North America worldwide. Essentially, I'm going to share with you today 3 fascinating stories of mobility impaired people that have changed the world. The world we live in has changed, and it's about explaining where we need to be today, but also where we need to be tomorrow. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to first introduce our first speaker that certainly inspired me. His name is Eddie Rice. Over to you, Ed.
Thanks, Mark. Hi, my name is Eddie Rice. For the past 50 years, I've been living in Toronto, Canada. For the past 20 years previous to that, I grew up in Long Island, New York. If a person has a disability, they pretty much know what the limitations are. But an able-bodied person, unless they know a person with a disability or have a person with a disability in their family, it would be very difficult to comprehend what a person with a disability lives with every day. In my particular case, I contracted polio when I was 18 months old. For the next 18 months of my life, I spent it in an iron lung, because in those days they didn't have the vaccine yet. And if you didn't have an iron lung, chances were pretty good that you would have died. In my case, after the 18 months, when my body started to recuperate from the disease, I was left with paralysis in my lower legs. My parents sent me to a regular school. They had an opportunity to send me to one of those special schools. But my father figured if I'm going to grow up in the regular world, I should go to a regular school. And I think that's one of the biggest reasons that I am as capable and independent as I am today. And then something happened that no one expected. Because with polio, we're called polio survivors. And the reason why is, with polio, it is an ongoing battle for the rest of your life. I developed what's known now as post-polio syndrome. Basically, it makes your muscles weak in an area you didn't have it before. Where I was a vibrant young man, walking with 2 crutches and using leg braces, I was totally independent. And as I hit my mid-30s, I noticed my shoulders, my arms were starting to ache. My muscles were getting weaker. And I was diagnosed with post-polio syndrome. As a result of that weakness extending to my upper extremities, I had to give up my profession. I was no longer able to do it. But you have to realize that when you have a disability, you don't know what tomorrow is going to bring. I thought, once I had the polio and I was walking with crutches and then a leg brace, that was going to be it for the rest of my life. But no, once the post-polio hit and did a real number on me, which it did in most cases with people with polio, I had to resign myself to using a mobility scooter because at that point I could not stand at all, I could not walk at all, and I needed a way of getting around, so a mobility scooter was the solution to that problem. And I had to change my vehicle from a passenger car to a minivan to accommodate the scooter. Well, that's when I noticed additional challenges, because I was like a lot of other people that are able-bodied. When you're functioning at a certain level, you don't consider what it would be like to function at a lower level. Well, I found that out the hard way. And I had to make all kinds of adjustments. And my attitude, fortunately, was to do it as much as you can with what you got left. As a result, I had to adapt my home. I had to change my lifestyle. And I had to look for different ways of getting around physical barriers that were in everyday circumstances. Legislation for the people with disabilities wasn't available at that time, as it was in the United States in the year 2000, but previous to that, they didn't have it either. So I had to figure out new ways of getting around, being able to function at a highest level that I can. As a result, I became an advocate for people with disabilities. I joined B'nai B'rith Canada, which had an opening at the time for a new committee called the Canadians with Disabilities. And I was instrumental with other grassroots disability groups in obtaining the AODA, the Accessibility for Ontarians with Disability Act, which took us 10 years to get through Parliament. And finally, in 2005, it was recognized to make mandatory requirements for accessibility for people with disabilities. One major problem that I've encountered as a driver, which Mark, I believe, is going to show you a video of my latest accomplishment with it, which took 7 years to accomplish, with help of other people on my committee, which we now have full service at self-serve gas stations with the partnership of Shell Gasoline. It's been a major breakthrough in increasing independence, making our life easier, and life easier for almost 2 million disabled drivers in Canada. Now, I've always been going with my committee looking for things that improve the life for people with disabilities, help them get funding, appliances, resources, anything they need, modifications to their homes that they don't know where to go. I act as a resource for finding that for them. Which brings us to the evac+chair. And the evac+chair is something that makes common sense that it should be available. Just think about it. You're living in a condominium like I do, but I'm on the 15th floor. If for whatever reason the elevators are out, so am I. evac+chair will solve that problem. It's common sense that it should be in any place where there's stairs, where there's more than one story to get people out in an emergency. It works like a charm. It saved many lives before, and it can save many lives after. We're petitioning the government to make it part of the rebuilding code. And even if until that time, we are working very hard and making presentations to all kinds of groups, condominium associations, hospitals, long-term care, schools, universities, that this is something that should be standard equipment in their facilities. So I just want to thank Mark and Steve and Rich for the great job they're doing, and I'm trying to assist them in any way I can. Be well, stay well. Thank you.
Thank you, Eddie. That was fantastic. And I think it's clear that whether you're mobility impaired or you're able-bodied, the legislation changes that you fought for have been absolutely fantastic for Canada. Now I want to share the innovation that you've brought to market that is inspiring to me.
A new app launches today that will help disabled drivers get assistance at the pump. It's called Fuel Service, and it gives drivers the ability to connect with local Shell Canada gas stations who have an assistant on hand to pump gas for them.
I am unable to get out of my vehicle because of my scooter and the amount of space I need on the side to get it out, to be able to reach a hose on the pump, to be able to fill up my own tank. It's impossible for me to do. Anybody that has any kind of mobility problem where they can't stand or they have dexterity problems, this is an issue that they have to deal with.
All right, so let's break down how the app will work. Drivers simply select a nearby gas station they would like to visit, and the app contacts the station and asks if they can help within the next 30 minutes. It then tells the station when the driver has arrived and provides an estimated wait time for service. Payment can then be done through the Shell app, which is a separate app, or with cash or card. Over 1,300 Shell Canada stations are participating across the country. And a final note, the app, it's free to download.
Thanks once again, Eddie. Now I'm going to share with you our second inspirational story, our story of Maureen and David Egan.
Walk-down evacuations seemed a reasonable enough procedure to me until 1980. That was when my wife, a victim of childhood polio, was forced to evacuate her 38th floor office. Only the good fortune of a false alarm and a faithful relay of fellow office workers enabled her to escape, still very slowly and with great difficulty. Disabled veterans, executives with a history of heart trouble, sufferers from asthma or emphysema, or even recent casualties of the skiing season chance the same double jeopardy. If the emergency doesn't harm you, there's a good possibility the escape will. My close brush with personal tragedy during my wife's forced evacuation sparked my desire to seek a better solution. I found that no options for the disabled existed, except for the traditional versions of the two-man hand carry, all slow, dangerous, and strenuous. I began with the chair configuration and ended up with a hybrid type of stretcher, cart and chair. The stretcher is a well-accepted first aid tool, but not very practical for the narrow turnings and precarious gradients of fire stairs. Moreover, even if some adaptation of the ski patrol toboggan type stretcher could be worked out, I could not imagine the typical ambulatory worker test riding such a prone descent.
1980 was a very different year, and it was especially special for them. In New York, they were on a high-rise building where Maureen worked, and there was a fire evacuation. And lots of people evacuated, but they didn't. They were left, and they had this particular view. What happened that very day is that David went to his garage and he built something. He built the very first evac chair, which has sold tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands now worldwide, and changed the world forever. It became from this product to now this product, which is the world leader only solution that can evacuate somebody safely in an emergency, or can be used in order to take somebody upstairs when they need to, when they can't use an elevator. We're now moving on to our third story, something that personally inspires me, but something that changed the world forever. I'm going to share with you the story of John Abruzzo.
People all over the world have used the evac chair. People like John Abruzzo, who was safely evacuated from the 69th floor of the World Trade Center on 9/11.
The first plane hit the tower that day. John, like others, rushed to the stairwell. However, evacuation for John Abruzzo would prove much more difficult. How do you get a man who lives in a wheelchair down 69 floors? Evac+chairs, stairway evacuation chair. They are put on every floor. The implementation of the products proved successful on 9/11. John Abruzzo did make it out of the building on 9/11 because of the evac chair.
Almost every building has a fire extinguisher. We consider the evac chair just as important. From something as simple as a broken elevator to an emergency situation, the evac chair is the perfect solution for a stairway descent. In the world we live in now, anything is possible. The evac chair ensures a safe evacuation for those that need it should any kind of emergency arise, and could very well save lives.
What you've just witnessed is that the fact that the evac chair is a real lifesaver. It's used in tens of thousands of buildings and residential homes, whether it be somebody's house they live in or whether it be senior living. But also, when it's needed, the evac chair is there for people that need it. And John Abruzzo can show that it was used in a real emergency environment, but also it's been used by tens of thousands of people all around the world, including in Canada. So you've now heard three stories from three people that, in my view, have changed the world. They're all linked from a mobility point of view, but I think if we take these three stories, we can change the world forever in Canada and around the world. Now, they're all talking about evac chairs. So what is an evac chair? Well, essentially, there are two types. Firstly, there's the ones that go downwards, that you can descend a building, and it's about getting out of the building in an emergency, whether that be somebody's home or in an organisation and a building. And essentially, these are integrated into people's PEEPs and JEEPs. So a PEEP is a personal evacuation plan, a JEEP is a general evacuation plan, and these must be incorporated all the time whenever's necessary. You'll see now what I'm talking about in regards to the evac chair, and these are typically the 300, 500 and 600 model, and how these are used.
The evac chair 300 provides the perfect solution for downward stairway evacuation. It is lightweight with no heavy lifting required. It can be used by a single person for quick, easy, and safe emergency evacuation. All our evac chairs are designed with compact storage in mind and are easy to open and ready to use in seconds. Let me take you through deploying the chair. Simply remove the cover and take out the evac chair. Your chair will arrive ready to use with all accessories needed. Nothing extra to buy. While standing behind the evac chair, hold it upright with one foot on the blue base frame. Using both hands, pull the handle until the securing clips are locked in place. Slide the head restraint down. Unbuckle the passenger safety belt to release the chair tracks. Pull chair tracks towards you. Slide the seat frame up until it stops and locks into place. On transferring, the occupant can self-transfer or can be transferred in line with their healthcare professional. Your evac chair is now ready to use. Lean the chair backwards, and with both hands at the side of the handle, push confidently over top stair. Ensure the tracks make contact with the top two stairs. Now you see I position my hands on the top of the handle and push towards my feet to move the chair down the stairs, staying on the inside so I can easily turn on a landing. When reaching the end of the stairs, as the front wheel touches the floor level, move your hands to the side of the evac chair handle. As you can see, the evac chair is easily maneuvered between stair landings by using what we call the balance point. I am now approaching a second flight of stairs. I launch the chair again and push towards my feet to ensure the chair smoothly glides down the stairs. You will see the evac chair has specially designed tracks with evac+ technology that controls the weight of the passenger and speed of descent, enabling anyone to operate the chair. On a flat surface, I can lower the rear wheels so that it can be used as a temporary wheelchair.
Now, I'm going to talk about the second type of evac chair. These are what are being seen in people's homes and are making a real difference to people's lives. With lockdown, with the pandemic, with COVID-19, people still need to live. And what we're finding is this type of chair can be used to evacuate people up and down, or just move them on a daily basis to make their quality of life better. Let me show you a little bit about this type of chair.
The evac chair Power 800 provides a complete stair ascending and descending solution. It can be used by a single person, providing quick, easy, and safe stairway ascent and descent. Holding the chair by the handle, lower the seat into its horizontal position. Extend the handles on the back of the chair to assist with horizontal travel, and the front of the chair to be used as armrests. For two-person operation, the front handles can be extended to aid in guiding the chair up or down the stairs. To release the tracks, use your foot to press the release pedal and tracks will glide into position. Ensure power is on and press either the up or down arrow to move the tracks in the direction required. The passenger can now be transferred to the seat of the chair. Once seated, the safety belt can now be fastened. On transferring, the occupant can self-transfer or can be transferred in line with guidance from their healthcare professional. For stairway ascent, move top handle to desired locking position. Move the chair backwards until tracks meet bottom stair edge. Then tilt chair back to the balance point until tracks meet the bottom two stair nosing, and press the up arrow on the control panel. Keep the up arrow depressed. Allow tracks to meet their glide angle. For stairway descent, make sure the handle is locked in desired locking position. Then roll the chair to stair edge. Tilt the chair back to its balance point for tracks to meet the floor, and press the down arrow on the control panel. Keep the downward arrow depressed while keeping the chair straight. Allow tracks to meet their glide angle. At the bottom of the stairs, simply tilt chair forward, using your foot as a counterbalance if needed in a controlled manner to continue horizontal travel. Once final destination has been reached, safety belt can be released and passenger can exit the chair. At evac+chair, we ensure 100% customer satisfaction and never compromise on quality.
A question that I always get asked is, why do I need an evac chair? Surely the emergency services are going to rescue me. This isn't the case. In Canada and around the world, there's this concept of the responsible person. And essentially, in a building, it's that responsible person's legal requirement to ensure that people can get out in an emergency or get where they need to get to. It's now the legal responsibility of the emergency services to put out the fire or to deal with the incident, not to evacuate people. So that's why you need an evacuation chair and why you need an evac chair to drive your business or to have the ability to egress your home environment as necessary. And there are now laws being put in place that also Ed talked about earlier, which can ensure that you have the right thing in mind, whether you're designing a building, specifying a building, actually constructing that building, or a resident itself. Okay, so why do we need an evac chair? Well, there's a number of different reasons. It could be a fire, it could be a terrorist attack, or it could be that there's just a broken elevator. But furthermore, it just doesn't have to be a wheelchair user. You can be mobility impaired if you're pregnant, if you're arthritic, if you're old and you can't get out the building in an emergency. So you've got to think about how you would evacuate a building, not just the wheelchair users. Now, one of the things I want to share with you is, what are the alternatives to an evac chair? How can somebody get out of a building if they haven't got an evac chair? Well, obviously you need to do what it takes to evacuate somebody or get them from A to B if it's in the home or the commercial environment. But also there was an independent study conducted by Ghent University Hospital and the University of Greenwich, and it looked at all the ways you could evacuate people. You'll see that they looked at 4 devices here, and they also used the evac chair. They compared it with other evacuation solutions, and they looked at the evac chair and how that could be applied. And you'll see that the results were astonishing. So you'll see that red is bad and green is good. And what you'll see is that in every way, the evac chair performed any other solution to get somebody out safely. And that's whether they were female or male. Female people single-handedly could take a male occupant down the stairs whenever it was necessary, with much less people. And when an emergency strikes, you don't know when it's going to happen. So if you can take somebody out of the building in an emergency or from A to B with as least people as possible in the quickest possible time, then I believe that's right for the solution. So I've shared 3 stories with you that have inspired me, and hopefully they'll inspire you. Also, I've shared what an evac chair is and how it's changed the world for hundreds of thousands of people, whether that be in a commercial environment or whether that be in a home setting, which is becoming even more important with COVID-19, where people need that added support. Now, I've got an ending quote for you that inspires me. And my quote is, if we don't change, we don't grow. And if we don't grow, we aren't really living. And for that point of view, I think that's just as important for somebody who's mobility impaired or somebody who's able-bodied. We need in Canada to grow together and to create the legislation and the accessibility, but also the egress that everyone needs. Now, please find my information on the screen now, and feel free to contact me anytime for more advice or how I can assist you further. Also, please visit our booth at the conference and also visit the website evac+chair.ca. Thank you for listening and have a great conference. It's great to meet you all. Now, we're opening for questions.